Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, college basketball fans and football fans and hockey fans,
baseball fans,
and baseball fans.
Next week,
yeah. What did we not hit on? Anyway, all those fans across the nation and around the world. I get messed up sometimes when I have a different guy in the cockpit with me here at the Tim May Show. This is the Tim May Show, usually featuring Clay Hall, but once again, featuring one of my good buddies, Dillon Davis of the Delaware Gazette, covers Ohio State as well as anybody on the beat, football and to a certain extent basketball. You don't go to all the basketball games, but you're part and parcel to what's going on. So, we're going to jump right off in this show, dissecting the corpse of the Ohio State basketball team after a one and done in the NCAA tournament. But I digress to a certain extent. There's a lot to talk about with the Ohio State. Obviously, Ohio State having its pro day coming up on Wednesday. That's the next big date on the calendar, right? Now the Ohio State men's basketball has been ousted. Pro day meaning Ohio State's own version of the combine, NFL combine, where eligible draftees will be perused, poked and prodded by NFL head coaches, assistant coaches, some NFL head coaches, a lot of NFL assistant coaches, front office personnel or whatever on Wednesday, March the 25th at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. So that's interesting considering Ohio State could come out of this draft with 5 first-round draft picks, 4 of them being defensive players, if the Caden McDonald phenomenon carries through like I think it should.
I agree.
Not like it could, like I think it should. And I think, as Dillon Davis just said, he just gave me a rubber stamp of approval on that. I stammered at the beginning of this only because I didn't want to go straight in to a what do you call it?
A postmortem.
A postmortem.
I think we got to get it out of the way.
But I think we need to about Ohio State playing because, dude, 3 weeks ago, when we had J.J. Solinger on this show, Clay Hall and I, he was the guy that was believing Ohio State was going to make the tournament. Yeah. And this was before they'd beaten Purdue, right on down the line. The Ohio State was going to make the tournament. No, that they were going to go 2 trips, meaning you've heard me. Meaning
the second weekend,
a second week, a first weekend and a second weekend, because obviously a trip to Dayton wouldn't have counted in that 2-trip thing. They got beat by TCU by 1 point. They had a shot at the end to possibly win the game. A shot. And I don't know where I come down on this because, number one, I never thought this was Jake Diebler's win it season, meaning get into the tournament and win some games or else. Never thought that. Movers and shakers were not giving that vibe. Those are the guys who really make the calls. Ross Bjork was not giving that vibe, although he stated quite unequivocally that the idea of Ohio State basketball as it progresses is to get to the tournament and win some games. But he didn't mean necessarily this year. Yeah. And with all that Ohio State went through just to make the tournament and become an 8 seed, that's crazy when you think about it. No one had him in the tournament 3.5 weeks ago. To be an 8 seed is laudable. The bad news is when you're an 8 seed, you play a 9 seed. And usually the way the committee looks at it, those are 2 kind of even Steven looking teams. Although that's not the way it turned out with, who was it last night? Was it an 8 and 9? Was it St. Louis? No.
Yeah, St. Louis and Georgia.
Yeah, St. Louis, Georgia.
My goodness. Georgia was just not ready to play basketball.
Georgia is not yet a basketball school. Not to be confused with this football school analogy. But the bottom line is 8 and 9 is going to be a hell of a game usually. Yeah. And it turned out to be a hell of a game, especially since Ohio State gave TCU a huge head start by going, what is this game TCU is playing?
Right.
I am not familiar. Yeah. And it took them a half to figure out, to become familiar with it, right? Dillon Davis, you're a good reporter covering Ohio State basketball. You're also a good analyst when it comes to looking at things, both football and basketball, and a little bit of hockey we'll get into in a minute with Ohio State's women playing the Frozen Four, women's version of the Frozen Four up in St. Paul, Minnesota this weekend. Nadine Muzzerall has been given a 5-year new contract because she is as good a women's hockey coach as there is in the country, maybe the best. We'll get into that a little bit. The men's hockey team playing Michigan for the what's the Big Ten championship? I think that's on Sunday. That's a pretty good achievement by Steve Rollick and that group of getting to that game and possibly moving on. We'll see how that goes. And then, of course, Ohio State women's basketball hosting a first-round game on Saturday, 11:30 or noon in the Schottenstein Center, right? They're hosting Howard, the winner to play the winner of the second game on Saturday, which will be Notre Dame and Fairfield. Not Fairfield Inn, not Fairfield, Ohio, but Fairfield to move on in the women's tournament. So there's a lot still going on in Ohio State sports circles. But man, all of the momentum, fervor, everything that was generated by that late season run by Ohio State, Jake Diebler's Ohio State basketball team, Bruce Thornton's Ohio State basketball team, along with him becoming the all-time leading scorer in Ohio State history, to get to the tournament. And then, boom, what the hell happened? A 1-point loss to the 9th seed. Any other place, if you're watching it and you live in Kentucky or you live in Texas and you don't give a damn about either one of those teams, you're going, boy, was I entertained
Great basketball game.
By the end of that game, right? But when you're part of the faction for either one of those teams, and we're caught up in the faction here, we have to cover the faction reaction. It's tough. It's tough knowing you were that close to and knowing you kind of gave the game away before you gave the game away. Go ahead.
Yep. Well, I mean, Ohio State was kind of a victim of its own success in a weird way because we're talking about them getting, winning those the way they closed the season, and to get that 8 seed, then you get matched up with the 9 seed, and had they even won that game, then they had to go play a 1 seed, which Duke looks vulnerable, but that's neither here nor there. So kind of a victim of their own success. But this game yesterday or on Thursday had a little bit of everything that kind of a microcosm of Ohio State's season. Had a little bit of everything that's, plagued Ohio State, and also been, one of their biggest things. They struggled to score in stretches. Certainly was the case in the first half, and they dug themselves a hole. They did not handle TCU's pressure well at all. And we've seen teams, if they're willing to get after you defensively, Ohio State sometimes doesn't have an answer for it. And then thus you go 5 minutes without a field goal, and you dig yourself into a big hole. They did that, credit to them in the second half, which they've done all year. They fought. They fought their butts off, and they've shown that time and time again this year that
they took the lead.
Yeah, where they might have some deficiencies just in terms of roster, construction or talent, whatever the case may be. They're going to fight and they're going to battle, and they did that again, to their credit. But again, it just wasn't good enough because, sure enough, down the stretch again, they struggled to score the basketball, and that's just been, that's been their MO all year. They can go on prolonged stretches of being cold offensively.
Can I interrupt you one quick thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate that phrase, score the basketball. I hate
that,
hearing anybody use it, because what does that mean? To score?
I don't know.
It means to score.
It means to put the round object.
Yeah, you don't get credit for double. You don't get credit for dribbling between your legs.
No,
you only get a point if you shoot the hoop ball through the hoop. Go ahead now.
Yeah, anyways, so I apologize that to score in general, they have tendencies to go prolonged stretches without being able to do it, and it burned them again. So, like I said, it was just a little bit of everything that we've seen from Ohio State this year in terms of the program itself. I was kind of the mindset as well. I thought they were going to get in the tournament, and I thought that they were capable of winning multiple games. I thought they could get to the second week. But again, some of that kind of I wondered after they got the 8 seed and, kind of a pick'em game against a 9 seed, and then having to play a 1 seed after that. And then the matchup as well. TCU's the matchup was just not good because
that was it.
Again, if you're a team that's going to hang your hat on your defensive pressure, and Ohio State actually had a size advantage in this game that they haven't had really a whole lot all year, but it didn't really matter because TCU just got up in them and just again was going to pressure the basketball.
Yeah, it's like Ohio State didn't have a plan. Maybe they didn't have a plan to take advantage of what it had. Whereas TCU, you knew if you watched video on TCU, and I'm sure they did, although it wasn't obvious at the beginning, first half, that you knew TCU was going to catch you at half court. And basically, I call it 40 minutes of hell from half court. That's what they did. Exactly. They got up in you, long arms, hands were in, poking hands were in everywhere. and you had to adjust to like just kind of like gnats in your face on a picnic. You had to realize this was not going to be ideal conditions, but you still had your picnic to enjoy.
Well,
and they didn't. It took them so long to figure out the way you beat a team like that. In my opinion, I even tweeted this middle of the game. You got to realize it's kind of like the passing game in football where the other team is playing you press man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, press man. This guy, your favorite guy may be covered. Your secondary guy may be covered by a guy that can cover them, but your tertiary guy, your tight end, they may have a mismatch. You've got to continually look for the mismatch where you can take advantage of it. Until now, their guys that are covering these guys tight have to back off and help with the guys who can't cover their guys as well. And then you really take advantage of it.
Sure.
Ohio State did not have that plan. If they did, I didn't see it until the second half. And then Amari Bynum, in my opinion, he should have had 35 chances to do something with the ball in that game. I'm not sure he did. How many he did have, I didn't count them up. But, I mean, because he was a mismatch. Devin Royal usually was a mismatch with the guy on him. J.J. Sullinger sat in your seat or right over there the other day and basically said he thought Devin Royal could go off. And, boy, when they finally started getting the ball to Devin Royal, he had some great moments in that game.
And what they were doing is they were getting to him like in the second half. Once they got the ball down there, they were going quickly. They weren't allowing the help to come over.
Correct.
So
you're not running a pass play. I'm just saying there are things as you're coming down the floor. You know what? Devin is beating his guy. Amari can beat almost anybody now, especially that group of shorties.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
And I get all excited because I'm just finding fault only because Ohio State should have won that game. In my opinion, because they fought back, and the second half was a totally different game.
Well, and it also helped too in the second half. Like Mobley started knocking down some shots outside as well. So I mean, that obviously helps to get guys isolated in the paint, and where you can get some of those matchups where you can.
Well, when you start bothering them with these other guys, now Mobley doesn't have a guy just right on top of it.
It was a classic case of too little, too late. Look, Jake Diebler went into that game knowing they couldn't do two things: they couldn't turn the basketball over, and they couldn't give up offensive rebounds.
Yes.
And what happened? They turned the ball over like, I don't know, 8 times in the first half, and TCU cleaned up on the glass.
Would they have like 14 or 15 offensive rebounds, if I remember correctly?
And just two things. And you're not going to win. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to win a whole lot of basketball games, period. If you're getting cleaned up on the glass like that and you're turning the basketball over, that's a recipe for success or disaster in any basketball game, especially one in the tournament against probably a talent equated team. So
I think they realized, I mean, it's pretty obvious that TCU also said from the get-go, Bruce Thornton's not going to beat us.
Sure.
And the way they did help there on him and stuff, but they just couldn't find that other guy, man. And they would, Ohio State occasionally would just dribble itself into, or even pass itself to a certain extent into corners, into situations there. And that's so hard to deal because, you can sit there watching a game like that and you can see where you'd be doing things, but it's kind of like, and I use this analogy with reverence to war, what real war is all about. But, you just can't figure out on the battlefield, wait a minute, where are these shots meaning the defensive pressure? Where are they really coming from? You're frantic to figure it out. And you throw some shots you wish you had back. I mean, some of that bad shooting in the first half was due to them just kind of jacking some up.
Sure.
And
but there weren't a lot of better looks out there. I mean, they could play out the shot clock all they wanted to.
That's why I make it Amari Bynum physical.
Yeah.
I'm going to drive this ball on you. Little guy, stop it consistently. And I didn't think they gave that enough of a shot. Go ahead.
We say all this, though, and then at the end of the day, they were still right there in position to win the basketball game.
Absolutely.
They needed one stop. And, without having gone back and looked at it again, like Amari Bynum letting the guy catch the ball essentially at the rim, that's tough in a final possession situation like that. And they didn't get that stop.
And he got the pass from Punch.
Yeah.
Who was being guarded by the Tilly, if I remember correctly.
Yes, by Tilly, yeah.
Yeah,
Tilly
they drew Tilly.
Punch,
They drew Tilly away from the basket, which was, you got to think that was the plan because they immediately went inside. I forgot the kid's name.
Yeah, was it Alex?
And then, but Bynum, as the shot goes up, Bynum, of course, probably doesn't want to foul.
No, of course
right?
not. Yeah, rightfully so. I guess you just can't let him catch the ball at the rim like that. But
Bingo.
When I saw Tilly on Punch, with the ball in his hands, I'm like, oh goodness, this is exactly what TCU would want.
But the way I looked at it, you would have wanted Bynum on the other side.
Yeah.
because he was on the backside.
He was to front that and not
And make them do a lob if they can do it. You know what I mean? But
so like they said, they were right there. They lost the basketball game to a team that's every bit as good as they are. So I guess some of the outrage I get today, just because it was kind of it just ended with such a thud. There was so much excitement for Ohio State to be back in the tournament. And then, of course, they get the first game of the day of the entire tournament, and it was over so quickly that I get kind of the added frustration. But at the end of the day, they got beat by a team that's as good as they were, and Ohio State didn't play particularly well. TCU didn't like the way they played in the second half either. I promise you.
No,
they couldn't score. They couldn't score the basketball.
Ohio State's defense,
they tried to score, they couldn't score it.
Ohio State's defense was excellent in the second half. It was excellent in the first half when you look at the final score.
Sure.
But it is interesting because I would have, now that you've played them live and you've seen them live, I'd take that matchup any day.
Absolutely.
Second half, Ohio State came back from 15 down. Yeah. Are you kidding me? And took the lead.
The quote from David Punch before the game or the day before about winning 9 out of 10 games. And if you ask me, if you gave me that matchup 10 times, I think Ohio State's every bit capable of winning 6 of them.
Yeah.
And so, they just didn't get it done. It's a disappointment. The program's been a disappointment. I get that. But I do believe that it was a step. Nobody wants to hear this, and maybe it was just a small step, but I do believe it was a step forward just to get back there and understand, this is what it should always be. Now, saying that, just getting back to the tournament next year would be a massive disappointment if that's the best that we have to say about this program.
Agreed.
But with that being said, it was a step. I do think. I do think that Ross Bjork and the athletic department needs to invest in the program more, and I hope that they do. From what Ross has said, it sounds like they probably will. I know there's some talk out there about them hiring a GM for the program, which is desperately needed, especially in this day and age in college sports. So,
who's TCU's GM?
I have no idea.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but
bottom line is, you had a chance to win a game.
Right.
Didn't get it done. I did not like the last play.
Oh no,
at all.
Not. No.
From concept, like I said, I was on the radio for 3 hours this morning. My voice sounds a little raspy. And the point I made, I am not calling for Jake Diebler's ouster, but that doesn't mean you can't criticize what you saw. And that's the difference. And the bottom line is, I was privileged to be like 50 feet away from Christian Leitner when he hit that shot to beat Kentucky.
I didn't know you were there.
Back in 92. Oh yeah. We used to cover all the regionals. It was cool. And the point was, when Kentucky didn't guard the inbounds guy or front the inbounds guy, the lob was the tallest guy on the court, which was Christian Leitner. Right. Well, Pelfrey might have been taller than him, or wherever the kid's name was for Kentucky, but he wasn't the same player.
Yeah.
And so they got the luck of throwing a ball 3/4 the length of the court, and tight end Christian Leitner fronting the guy, getting the pass, and he had 2.1 seconds, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, Ohio State had 4 seconds, a little over 4 seconds, 4 seconds and change.
Yeah.
And my call in that, whether they front the inbounding guy or not, it's not Bruce Thornton for me, because I want him in the mix of being an option for the last shot. I want maybe Bynum inbounding the ball because he has height.
Sure.
And but anyway, and having Tilly no closer to the inbounds line than midcourt. And I want him catching, turning, and hitting a designated guy to then be to the distributor and find either Mobley or Bruce Thornton.
Yeah.
Bruce Thornton. I feel for him because that was not a good play. No. So he inbounds the ball. Tilly catches it. He gets Bruce Thornton gets picked up because he should. He's the leading scorer in Ohio State history.
Yeah. I don't understand. So everybody knew that Bruce Thornton was getting that basketball, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But for him to be the one taking the ball out, you're just wasting time here.
Correct.
Just by having to get the ball back from. I don't get that.
A second and a half, the way I figured it.
Right. And you weren't fooling anybody. You weren't fooling TCU by, inbounding him everybody knew he was getting the ball right back. So they jumped right all over that. And I don't understand the lack of outlets either. I think Junie was somewhere around there, but basically at the
Devin Royal on the left, if you watch the video, he's open. Now it would have been like a 20 foot shot if he just caught and shot. That doesn't mean he's going to make it.
Sure.
But golly, get a shot.
Did they think they weren't going to harass him up the floor? They
get
were
a credible shot.
I don't understand.
I have no idea.
I just didn't get it.
You got the lead.
Yeah.
If you're going to foul him, you foul him before he gets to shooting area. They didn't do that.
Right.
That was interesting. Agreed?
Yeah.
Because the worst you could have been was tied if he makes both free throws.
Are you saying you think that they should have fouled him?
I'm saying TCU, if you're concerned, but I think as the play developed, TCU realized what was up.
Yeah.
This play is not going Ohio State's way. But yeah, what you do is if anything, you don't want to lose. You don't want to lose the game there. You want to foul the guy before he can get up a shot, because that would be 3 shots.
Yeah, that's a dangerous.
It'd be if you foul him on the 3 shots, you would get 3 shots to make 2 to at least tie it.
Ohio State was in the bonus, right?
Yeah. So, but I'm saying, if you foul a guy making a 3-point attempt, which he did from half court, he gets 3 shots.
Right.
So once, you kind of let it fly and go on your wits there. But, that it was the least looking quality shot in that kind of moment. Even Evan Turner was only 30 feet away.
Yeah. I mean, with 4.6 seconds left or whatever it was, I mean, if I could have drawn up in my head, the types of shots that I could live with Ohio State taking in that situation. I probably could have went 7 or 8 deep. Okay, if they did this and they got that, I can live with it. For that to be the shot that they take, that was just kind of the capper on a very, very disappointing day. But
isn't it cool to be sitting here in March and just carving up an NCAA tournament game for Ohio State?
Absolutely.
As opposed to the previous 4 years.
No, nobody wants to hear this, and you're absolutely right. It is wonderful to be talking about this, and frankly, like you said, carving up an Ohio State basketball loss.
Yeah, I would have done this.
If I knew for certain, if I could say that I'm fully confident that we'll be doing it again next year, or we'll be talking about Ohio State basketball, in the tournament next year, then I would say, okay, well, it's nice, but at the end of the day, it's not good enough just to say that we're talking about it. So.
Okay, they got what kid's name's Anthony Thompson. Is that the
special
5-star, the big time blue chip, whatever you call it in basketball? Yeah. That's mainly football terms. But got him coming in.
Real quick, I don't understand the term. I know what it is. I know how to use it, but I've never understood its origin. Like where did
blue chip came from a guy who had one of the very beginning guys who had a website. Not a website even. Might have been a website, but a magazine or whatever. I think he was in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And he was a Penn State kind of based thing because started judging talent going especially into like Penn State football wise. Okay. And
early recruiting
when you were really considered good, they called you a blue chip. They didn't call you a 5-star. That came along with all these other guys that came along. But blue chip sounded so cool. You know what I mean? Yeah. From a poker standpoint or anything else. And that's where it started. I mean, dude, I keep telling people when I first started covering Ohio State football in 1984, Tom Lemming dictated me his top 100 in the country over the phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over the phone. That's awesome.
Yeah. But I mean, that's, internet was a long way away.
Yeah.
At least big time internet was a long way away. And everybody had newsletters. And they had eventually, like Bill Kurlick had 900 numbers. He made a fortune on 900 numbers because every time you called it, it cost a certain amount of money. Let's say 50 cents or $1. And all these people who care about recruiting for Ohio State, every time you called that to get an update,
he would just tell you over the phone.
Yeah, no, it would. Yeah, but it would be recorded.
Oh, okay.
He'd update it like 3 or 4 times a day. And he made he probably made more money then than he did after.
So that's before Buck Nuts was ever a thing or anything like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was before Buck Nuts.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, who was he? He was just his own. He had his own newsletter, like I'm talking about. Also, and he was doing it for Ohio State football, and that's where that. And there was a guy on the West Coast. I used to get his input on player rankings and stuff, and then somebody in the South. I can't remember that guy's name either, but it was such a fledgling man. I would go through. I would call coaches around the state of Ohio mainly and pick their brain, high school coaches on, hey, has Ohio State been around? Are they looking at anybody on your team, looking at anybody in your conference and stuff? That's how you got your information. Yeah. Whereas now, I think a lot of now is a lot of copycatting to a certain extent, but also it became much easier once the internet came along to figure out where Ohio State's coaches were going and who they were looking at. Yeah. But the same thing with Alabama, Georgia, Texas, right on down the list. So that was just an industry. It was a hobby for Bill Curlick. He was still like coaching, I think, then at Dublin, at Dublin High School. But
I didn't know he was a coach.
Yeah, he was a basketball coach.
Really?
Yeah. Great.
At which Dublin school?
I think it was only one then. I think Kaufman.
Okay.
It's Kaufman now. But the point was that was just it was cool to watch that industry grow because the people give a damn about recruiting, really give a damn.
I'm one of them. I grew up, I was obsessed with I couldn't consume enough recruiting stuff. That's why I mentioned Bucknuts and then Buckeye Sports Bulletin so.
But it's funny because Woody Hayes, Bear Bryant, all these guys, they recruited like I tried to follow recruiting. They had assistant coaches, but they wanted to know. They had people in certain areas of the country or state who would tell them who's hot. Who you got to come watch this guy. Et cetera. That's the way it was. And now you can get video on anybody.
Yeah.
And these recruiting sites, the thing I love most about them is the Huddle. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Huddle. Yeah.
I love their videos.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can watch if you're ill-informed about like Julian saying what kind of quarterback's he going to be.
Watch some Huddle highlight. Yeah.
Watch these Huddle highlights from high school when he was a running and throwing quarterback, which is why he can still be that. We're going to get to that in a minute. But that was what was cool. And basketball was the same way. But, basketball, it was kind of easier to kind of know who was really good in basketball. Why? Well, who's scoring 30 points a night for high school?
And there's only 5 people on the floor too, so it's a lot easier to decipher. Like, okay, this kid's different than.
But when you can pick up on the buzz pretty quick, you can even ask referees who are refereeing games around the country, around the state and stuff, who's really good and stuff. Of course, Lou Alcindor, aka Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, was 7'3" or 4. So right on down the line. But it was really easy to find those guys. Easier in basketball because it was pretty obvious, like you said. Kind of like finding a tackle in football. Who's that 6'5", 280-pound guy?
That guy looks different than the rest of the people.
Burying that 190-pound defensive end, right? But
I remember watching some Paris Johnson videos of him playing tackle in high school and watching him just ragdoll some kids and like, hey, that guy's different than the rest of everybody out
He's
here.
not going to be that easy in college and definitely in the pros. But you know what? Some guys just have it. He was one of those had it. Yep. Orlando Pace. You didn't even need to see Orlando Pace play. You just had to watch him walk in. He was 6'7", whatever it was, 200, and then probably about 70 pounds, 75 pounds. But that's when tackles weren't as big necessarily as they are now. Maybe 280, but he was V-shaped. He wasn't walking in with his belt tightened in over his gut.
Yeah.
So I digress. I don't know how we got on that, except that.
Talk about recruiting.
Anthony Thompson.
Yeah.
How good.
Yeah.
How much video, what have you seen of him? What tells you this guy could be a difference maker besides his ranking?
I mean, he's an elite athlete. Like
what does he do extremely well? Explain to people.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that I'm a pro scout or that I'm a basketball recruiter. But I think he can score at all 3 levels, which is generally what you're going to get out of a 5-star athlete. At the basketball level. So I think his 3-level scoring. If you add now we're talking about what Ohio State has to do. The first thing they have to do is they have to pay Amari Bynum. It's going to cost Ohio State to keep Amari Bynum.
Yes.
Let's be very clear about that. I don't know what that number is, what that looks like, but it's.
Let me put it this way: no one fits to Ohio State football, but he's worth at least 3 reserve offensive linemen. Meaning taking that slice and moving it over to basketball.
Yeah, well, we talk about investing in Ohio State basketball. And whatever that
I'm talking about from the revenue sharing pool.
Yeah. So whatever that looks like if Ross is serious about that, you're absolutely right. If that's what it costs, then by all means, because they have to pay Amari Bynum and it's going to cost money.
Yeah.
It's going to cost money to keep Junie Mobley too. But those 2 guys you have to retain. If you give me those 2 guys with what Anthony Thompson can bring you, offensively, that's the makings of a very dynamic, offensive basketball team.
Devin Royal, he's back, right?
Yeah, and I guess Devin too. And I've seen some things about Devin online, and I know social media. But in the last 24 hours or whenever since the game was over, people talking about Devin Royal. If you don't think that Devin Royal can be a very important piece of a good basketball team, then I don't have.
Wait, give me an idea of what they're saying because I'm telling you, he should have been the guy yesterday.
Well,
we're recording this on Friday.
Yeah. What they're saying is very generic, and that they could take him or leave him. They don't care if he leaves or not. That they're not interested in.
He does make a mistake a game that you crash your head about, but fine. That guy can play, man.
Fine, but absolutely. Devin Royal absolutely has a place on a good basketball team. To say otherwise, again, it's a non-starter for me. If you believe that, fine. Who am I to tell you what you believe? But
Is Tayson Chapman? He'll be back.
he should be back.
Yeah.
I would think. I mean, unless I guess the only thing if he thinks it's just better to go somewhere else, maybe have a better opportunity, a clearer.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Does he look like the guy that could be? Because I want Mobley shooting.
Yeah.
I don't want Mobley setting up other people and then shooting. I mean, I want Mobley shooting. You understand what I mean? I want him to be. I don't know if they even have a true point guard anymore in basketball. At least some teams.
Some teams do. Some teams.
I think Chapman could possibly grow into that role. I
agree.
I like what he brings.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that Tayson Chapman as your primary ball handler, as your one, so to speak, on that team, I'm fine with that, and I like his offensive profile. As a supplemental scorer.
Yes.
But
I like the way he looks like Artis Gilmore. But go ahead.
I do not. I don't get that reference. But
Artis Gilmore was a guy in the ABA way back when.
Okay.
And he was 7 feet tall. He was a big, but he had that hair.
Oh yeah.
I like that hair.
Yeah. So I like Chapman. I hope he does come back. Now again, I'm not sure. I have to imagine Ohio State's.
Isn't it amazing what you got to think about these days?
Yeah,
that Fred and all those other coaches, Eldon Miller, even Thad Matta,
didn't have to worry about these.
Didn't have to worry about Jerry Lucas. He had him there. Freshman when eligible.
Right.
But then he had him there for 3 years, and right on down the line. Now you got to not just worry about who you're bringing in, recruiting wise, but who you can keep.
Sure.
Yeah. And sometimes who you can keep as opposed to who you want to keep.
True. Yeah. That's part of it. And again, we're talking about all this. We're talking about, paying Amari Bynum. We're talking about paying Junie Mobley to come back. And you still have to supplement this roster. Still have to go out and find people to supplement this roster.
Oh yeah.
And how much money
is Tilly done?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone.
They got to get a big guy, don't they?
Brandon Knoll's gone. So
how you say his name again?
Govan, Ivan Govan, he should. I guess he could be back. I don't want to say he should. He could be back,
but
he's eligible to come back.
Right.
So,
Did you see enough in him for they would be?
It depends on how. I mean, it depends on what you're going for here. If you think that you're going to bring him back as your primary big, to play in the post, and that you're going to get 10, 12 points a game out of him.
Yeah.
That's not him.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
I still think there's a place for him on the roster because he plays hard. He does have size.
Yeah.
He can impact the boards. I still think there's a place for that. But as a primary big man, again, I don't know what pool of money they're working with, what that pool looks like, and what the going rate for these guys will be. But I would hope Ohio State could do better, because if you go get a competent big man, like a legitimate big man, to pair with what they're going to have on the perimeter, it's the makings of a very good basketball team.
I agree, and you'll have a head coach who's 1 year older.
Yeah,
as a head coach,
yep.
A couple of heartbreaking losses older.
Yeah.
As a head coach, that's huge. I don't know how the mechanics work on their sideline. Like with 4 seconds left, and you're drawing up your play. I don't know who you go to there, meaning what coach, or is it just the head coach? I don't know how that works. That's got to get looked at big time, because there are several times in the last 2 years where that hadn't worked out the way you'd like it to.
It's not even just that. Like some of the in the game situations where they have a lead, they're trying to protect the lead in the final possession, and they've blown that, not putting a guy on the on the inbounder. Some of those decisions too. It's just not been a very good end of game team for multiple reasons. And a lot of times you're going to say, well, that has to fall on coaching then, because those are the decisions that are being made. So.
Yeah, and here's the thing. See, the conundrum yesterday was the guy you trusted most with the inbounds pass was the guy you also trusted most to take the last shot. It can't be the same guy.
No.
I mean, it's almost could have been, but it wasn't. And
not
you showed
4.6 seconds.
You showed the fallacy of that, because not only is that guy doing the inbounds play, but now the other team knows he's probably taking the last shot. And so they jump him, as he's coming down the court. He has to do a little bit of a jump and weave and then get off just not a very good shot.
I'm convinced that if TCU made more of a point to just refuse Bruce Thornton to basketball in that situation, I'm not sure what Ohio State would have done in the moment. They might have just frozen. I don't know.
What would Tilly have done? Is the real question.
Yeah, I guess I don't know.
What were his options there?
Right.
His option clearly was all about, as Jake Deaver pointed out, get the ball back to Bruce.
Right.
To Bruce. But see, no matter even how that goes mechanically, you got 4 seconds. That's just off the ticking clock. You're taking 1.5 to almost 2 seconds just to get the ball back to Thornton.
Yeah.
That's the problem in that play. Whereas when Tilly catches the ball, if he turns and sees Royal matched up with a good matchup, Royal could have had a couple of options to either drive and go for the tie or step back and throw the 3 up.
I wonder that the famous Villanova shot that they hit to win the national title. I don't remember how much time was on the clock there, but I thought it was really,
but it was
really
similar.
well
They
executed.
said, yeah.
And I'm curious. I'd like to know how much time was that, because that was really well done.
Yes.
And to get that look, 10 times out of 10, you'll take that look.
And here's the thing about the Duke play. Like I said, I was there. Grant Hill's the inbounds guy. Nobody in front of him. The guy's a hell of an athlete. Could have been a quarterback, clearly, because he throws a perfect pass.
Right.
And Leitner has position right in the free throw circle, has position on the 2 guys that were guarding him. And you go, but that's just throwing it to the big. Well, that big had not missed a shot all day.
Sure.
Leitner did not miss a field goal or a free throw in that game.
To let him even get the ball in his hands.
So he was the guy that should be taking the last shot.
Yeah.
And yet he catches the ball, has position, and turns, does just a little pirouette, throws it up, because with 2 seconds is an eternity.
Yeah.
And so anyway, going back to that, so so I call this a learning season for all included, with big achievements like producing the program's career leading point scorer. That's significant.
Sure.
A legacy for the new guys is you got to get to the tournament. All right, that's been done. In other words, there's no excuse for Ohio State not getting the tournament. Everybody faced that same pressure together, and they got to the tournament.
Yeah.
That is laudable. Agreed?
Yeah.
I mean, their backs were against the wall.
No, absolutely. I mean,
their butt was out the door.
The character of the program, it was. If you want to sit here and argue Jake Diebler, the X's and O's guy, fine. There's plenty.
But not the other part.
But in terms of character of the team, spirit and all those things, which people might roll their eyes at, but they do matter. Like that part's unquestionable. Like I have all the confidence in the world in Jake Diebler to get a team motivated to go play. Some of the other things, again, maybe remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though.
But by the way, Ohio State is not the only team and considered a decent team, 8 seed, that's blown it at the end of a game by some
not at all.
Either ill-conceived strategy or a play that didn't go off like you dreamed it would.
Yeah, right.
There's a big difference between dreamed and thought it would. Go ahead.
The end of that game was just a pile on to
yes.
There are already people, a large faction of the Ohio State fan base out there who are already so far out on Diebler that they were just almost begging for something like that.
I got a buddy of mine that's like that.
Begging for an ending like that, so they get to see, there you go.
Yeah, I told you. It's like the people always say. I was telling JJ Sullinger the other day. It's like the people are always telling you the stock market's going to go down. It's going to go down.
Right.
And for 7 years, it pretty much doesn't. Now that it has gone down because of a lot of things that are going on. See, I told you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not even saying that I'm not out on Jake Diebler. I think next year is a very important year.
Oh yeah, next year is a big year.
Yeah. But I'm not out on Jake Diebler. But I'm not even knocking anybody who says they're done with him. They don't believe in him. I get it. I can understand why you would get to that conclusion.
Yeah.
But to say that again, this year wasn't any kind of step forward. It was. That leads into next year, and they better do something more than just make the tournament, and not just make the tournament. You look at what Nebraska is doing right now. So you watch the Nebraska team. So yesterday was very hard for Ohio State fans because coming off the heels of the Buckeye loss, Duke's struggling mightily. And all those thoughts are starting to creep in of did Ohio State just squander an opportunity to play Siena for a trip to the Sweet 16? Now, obviously, it didn't play out like that.
Well, no, they squandered. I mean, I thought they would have matched up. Cam Boozer's a hell of a player.
Agreed. The lack of depth for Duke. Yeah, they were
bingo.
vulnerable.
We talked about that on the show on Wednesday. Yeah. I said, man, I would take a matchup with Duke right now and take your chances. Of course, he said, no, you got to play the one game and then move on. Oops.
Anyways, and then so watching what Nebraska did, what Nebraska has done all year long, the most productive season in program history.
Yes.
They get their first win. They do it in big time fashion. They rout, I forget who they played. Troy. Troy. And obviously it was a 4-13.
They stormed Troy. They were the Trojan horse.
But anyways, just watching that had to be really tough for Ohio State fans because as I sit here and say hey, this was a step forward for the program. Next year's a big year. I get why Ohio State fans don't want to hear that as Nebraska's going and having the best season of the of their program history.
Yeah.
And they're going to continue to play, and they're going to play on the weekend with a chance to go play in the Sweet 16. So I get all of that. I understand all of that. But I still think just objectively, if you're just willing to meet the Ohio State program where it's at, and I am, it was a step forward.
Yeah.
Understanding next year means so much for, what.
But you are exactly right. you gotta keep Amari Bynum. Amari Bynum ended up being one of the elite. He ended up joining the elite class of freshmen this year across the nation. At the end of the year, he was one of those guys.
I was talking. Yeah, I was sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was talking to Tito about Amari Bynum. Ohio State's almost like very fortunate. Not almost. I think they are very fortunate that Amari Bynum got better as the year went on. He started to figure things out.
Correct.
And I hate to use this, cliche, but the game slowed down for him as the season went on.
It did.
Ohio State's fortunate that didn't happen earlier, though, because we might be talking about a one and done player here.
Yeah.
If that light came on for him earlier in the season and he was able to showcase the way he played towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
If he started playing that way in January, we might be talking about a lottery pick here.
Isn't that amazing, though, in basketball?
Yeah.
That you're not only concerned on whether a guy had a finish like that and now is going to go, I can go somewhere and really get paid.
Yeah.
Or, shoot, I'm ready for the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean, they have those two options.
Well, I mean, we've seen it with other situations like Bryce Sensabaugh.
Yeah.
Nobody was thinking of Bryce Sensabaugh as like as a potential, NBA guy.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the year, it's like, there's no way he's coming back.
Yeah.
Malachi Branham just kind of,
How do you coach in these conditions? You coach one year at a time, exactly. Right? Yeah.
Well, and you better be a hell of a recruiter as well. You better just be able to stockpile talent.
Yeah. Both portal and
exactly.
And obviously the regular recruiting.
Yeah.
Last thing before we move on from that. You got a taste of the shot going crazy. I'm trying to think. You've been covering Ohio State football and basketball for how many years?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
I think you got a little bit of shot of that. Pardon the pun.
I grew up in both of those venues anyways, before I was covering them.
But I mean, the Purdue atmosphere, it just shows what the place can be like if you got a good team and there's something going on, you're playing a credible opponent, right? What is your take on that? I mean, it can be a complimentary part of your program if it's near full, obviously, and people are going crazy, but you can say that about any place. Sure. But I don't know. What's your take on the momentum that's been generated in the last month to fill seats?
Yeah,
not fill seats, every seat, but fill some of them.
Going off of just what I've experienced since I've been covering the basketball program, like momentum is very fleeting when it comes to the fan support of the program. This argument, or I guess argument, this back and forth on social media today from Ohio State fans. Mark Titus said some interesting stuff.
Yeah, he's right though about that ilk of fan.
So what I do know is I think that's unfair of Titus to say this because at the end of the day, it's been an extended round of mediocrity, and so Ohio State fans have every bit of right to be outraged. I also understand that I've seen good Ohio State teams not get the support from the fan base that they deserve. I've seen the Purdue game is people are going to cherry pick these examples, like the Duke game a few years ago.
Yeah, EJ Liddell, I know. I just did.
Yeah, people are going to cherry pick those examples, and the Schottenstein Center can absolutely be a great atmosphere for a college basketball game. Ohio State fans can show up, but that Purdue game was on a Sunday afternoon, and it was basically a win and you're in the tournament.
Yeah.
So
and Bruce Thornton's going to set the
well, that was the Indiana game.
Yeah, Indiana game. Yeah. I get those two mixed up.
Actually, the Purdue game was the Indiana game was on a Saturday, but it's the same situation.
Right.
They're weekend games.
Right.
Now, for good basketball teams, a good basketball team who has Michigan State coming on a Saturday or a Sunday, like that place is going to be packed and it's going to be a great atmosphere. But that same good basketball team playing Minnesota on a Wednesday night, there'll be 11,000 people in the arena, and it'll be kind of
yeah.
And that's a fact. And again, people can mask and they can hide behind the fact that Ohio State's been mediocre for a while now, and say that that's why they're outraged. But again, I've seen Ohio State basketball have good basketball teams, and the support's not there to the level that it should be. It's not to say that it's not better than it is now, but it's not where it should be.
Agreed.
And I would never, ever expect Ohio State to even come close to approach what the football program is in terms of fan support. It'll never be. It's not in the same world.
Yeah.
Even a great Ohio State, a run of the Thad Matta years with Ohio State's basketball program still did not touch what Ohio State's football fan base is, and it never will. I get that. But to even it doesn't even come close to matching what the fan support should be for even a pretty good program when Ohio State has good basketball teams. It just doesn't. It's not on a regular basis. And so I have a hard time. It doesn't resonate with me when a lot of Ohio State fans are bitching today about the basketball program and being fed up with it when I know that it'll only have a moderate impact on their interest levels, even when they're good.
Yeah.
And it doesn't resonate.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if that answers
I pointed this out on the radio this morning but the only but there is this is $2.2 million 2.1, 2.2 million metro area.
Yeah.
There's and 11,000 on a weeknight. Yeah, against an opponent like a Minnesota. I can understand the lack of an attraction, but it's still if you get the program where it's going to be, it's still big time college basketball.
Yeah.
And you would think you could get 15, 16,000
exactly
regularly from a 2.1 million metro area.
Yeah.
You follow my drift.
Absolutely.
And that's what they've lost, like you're talking about, is the attraction of, hey, Ohio State's pretty good. Let's go watch them tonight, Jimmy. We can get in. Right. I'm on Ticketmaster. Look at the prices. You know what I mean? That's what they haven't. That's what you're trying to build. If you're Jake Diebler, if you're Ross Bjork, that's the attraction. Because finally, it does come to putting fannies in the seats.
Yeah.
You know, because otherwise, who cares about you if you're not making money, right? I mean, so in all kinds of ways. But that's where that they need to get to. That's what they should strive to get to. My point is this, though, going back to what I asked you a while ago. You're an Ohio State basketball fan, and let's just not call a player out right now who could leave or something. But let's say you got a player and his initials are like AB. Well, no, wait, that's calling out.
Yeah.
CD,
yeah,
you know.
There you go.
Christian Doink.
Doink.
Yeah.
Doinker.
Yeah. And you got a CD, and he plays and goes off, and he's a freshman, and all these kids are buying his jersey. Next thing you know, he's playing for Minnesota NBA team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's really difficult to cultivate that fire and then keep it burning.
I agree.
From a bonfire standpoint, because let's be realistic. Do we think all four of those guys we named a while ago are gonna all four be back?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you got a chance then.
Yeah.
You got a chance because number one, those are talented dudes. And number two, they were part of a team that had success, not great success. And then number three, man, just get that guy from the portal.
Yeah. To
somehow or another,
tie it all together.
Yeah. Get into competition with North Carolina or Duke or Texas or whomever, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, which has got all that money floating around for everybody, and win that battle.
Sure.
And then put together a team, then you got a chance.
That's the thing. So I guess,
2 years in a row, you got a chance.
I'm not going to sit here and I know I'm beleaguering the point here. I'm not going to sit here and say I know what the going rates were for some of these players and who Ohio State was all heavily in on. But I know that, with all due respect to these guys, going and getting the Brandon Knowles of the world, that's shopping from the bargain bin. It just is.
Yeah.
It is. And again, I don't know if Ohio State ever had a real chance to get him, but you look at a guy like Dillon Swain, who's still playing for Texas right now. He went to Appercentric. He's a Columbus kid. To not be an obvious landing spot for that kid when he's going to go into the portal. Says a lot about what you're offering and also about the draw of your program.
Yeah.
So, because I'm guessing Texas paid up for him, A, and B, he probably liked the opportunity he was going to get down there.
Did you feel Ohio State tried to pony up for him?
I don't know. That's why. And then, so maybe I'm completely speaking out of my butt here, but maybe Ohio State went after him, or maybe they weren't interested.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
See, there's two things there.
I guess my point is right.
Yeah.
But looking at what they have drawn in the portal the last few years, it's just not. It's very clearly bargain bin stuff. It is. And some of it's worked out. Like Jameson Battle was a great player for Ohio State. And that worked out good for them.
Yeah.
But in terms of being competitors and competing with, some of the not even the blue bloods, quote unquote, but the top 15 programs in the country for the best transfer portal additions, I don't think Ohio State's really that close to being on the same playing field with those guys. So.
All right, real quick. I know we're running out of time here. And you and I are both going to lunch. You're finally going to let me buy you lunch.
Yeah, well, you're finally offered to buy me lunch.
I know, but I owe you.
What do you owe me for?
Because you make my golf reservations for me. I just show up.
There you go.
That is in time.
Yeah, I was going to say you show up just in time as well to walk to the first tee. Speaking of that, remind me of that. We're playing on Sunday if you want to play. I didn't ask you about it. Anyway.
Sunday's supposed to be thunderstorms, number one. Number two,
we're playing in the morning, though.
We're having a joint birthday luncheon for me and my daughter.
Oh, okay.
We're fairly close in birthdays.
What is your birthday?
I'm not saying.
Oh, you're going to tell me after when the camera stops. You're going to tell me.
Number two, I'll be 72. I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
But number three.
So you were born in.
Yeah. So anyway, I was born in 54.
Okay.
1954, previous century. What was I going to ask you? Oh,
I don't know.
You're Dillon Davis.
I am.
Okay.
Keys the
Ohio
timer,
State
too.
women's basketball, I think, has a good shot to make a run.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like they got their act back together a little bit after a swoon.
When you have the best player on the floor at any given time, too, that helps as
Bingo.
well. So.
Bingo.
Yeah.
But, BYU had the best player on the floor last night, but didn't win the game.
Well, I tell you what, sorry. If they win and Notre Dame wins, Hannah Hidalgo, that matchup with Hannah Hidalgo, that's going to be maybe one of the best one-on-one matchups in the entire tournament.
Bingo.
She's fantastic as well.
So going into this weekend, you got Nadine Muzzerall, the new 5-year contract for Nadine Muzzerall, and the Ohio State women's hockey team playing in the Frozen Four, or whatever. I think they call it the women's Frozen Four. Yeah. In I think St. Paul, Minnesota. I think that's right, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure.
No,
yes.
is it Penn State?
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Am I right? I think I'm right.
I honestly don't know.
I think I'm right.
Penn State's in it. They get to host it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, well, that works out for everybody. Try to get a crowd.
Hockey Valley, baby.
You just pray they win the semi.
Hockey Valley.
I think I'm right. I said it wrong on the radio this morning.
Yeah.
Or the men's hockey playing Michigan for the Big Ten championship on Sunday in Michigan, at Michigan. I think you feel like you're in Michigan when you're at Michigan, don't you?
Oh,
you kind of feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
confines.
That's an amazing place to watch a hockey game.
Uncomfortable confines. Yeah. Which one piques your interest the most?
So hold on. Is the men's game? Is it at Yost?
I think so. I don't know where else they would play.
Well, I guess what piques my interest, of course, it's going to be the women, just because like they're
women's basketball.
No, the women's hockey team. I'm sorry.
Oh, women's hockey. Okay.
Yeah. Because what Nadine's done there, and certainly I'm gonna maybe
going for another national championship.
I'm going to assume that Wisconsin beats Penn State as well. So to get another Ohio State-Wisconsin national title game would just be right. It would just only be fitting. And certainly with all the talent that those two teams have, not just college talent, but as we saw with the women at the Olympics, Olympic level talent.
Joy Dunn,
the best, and Wisconsin has their, I think trio. I think there's three for Wisconsin as well. Just so
plus the coach was on the Miracle on Ice.
Yeah, so just
Miracle.
Yeah. Just watching that, watching that again would be a lot of fun. So I'm gonna be rooting for that matchup. But all of it, what a great time for sports here in Columbus. I tell you what a great time for hockey in Columbus. If you think about the Blue Jackets,
amen,
freshly in a playoff spot now as we woke up today. So congratulations to the Blue
Jackets. Who'd they go by in the
Islanders?
Metropolitan.
The Islanders
Metropolitan
dropped out. The East is just an insane playoff race right now. But that's not.
Yeah, and who are they in the running for? I mean, they're in it right now.
Yeah, they're in the third spot in the Metropolitan Division now. The Islanders dropped out. It's the Bruins. The Bruins, the Red Wings, and the Canadians are really fighting for and the
Bruins. Is that a hockey team?
Yeah, that's a hockey team. It's an original six. They call them original six. So there was originally 6 teams, and they're largely considered like it's the most important franchises in the NHL. In the Boston Bruins.
And here's a chance for me to promote the last time you were on here. Google it.
Yeah.
As Kurt Signetti would say, who's going to drive the pace car at the Indy 500.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think
that's really cool,
dude. That's worth winning a national championship, getting to do that.
You think that's probably? You think got the trophy with him too? So
it'd probably be pretty cool to have it strapped in.
See that bad boy.
Yeah, and kind of give people a thrill, kind of get close to the wall.
Yep.
But I digress. Google our previous deal where Dillon explains how a guy who grew up in Ohio, Midwestern Ohio.
An hour west of here.
Yeah, west of here. That's West Ohio.
West Central
is a big Boston fan, especially Bruins, Celtics, and Northeastern. He almost went to school at Northeastern
just because it was close to Fenway.
Yeah. Who's Ohio State playing in the hockey?
So the women actually play the Northeastern Huskies.
Yeah.
So
are you torn?
No, I'm not at all. Absolutely, go Bucks in that situation. But otherwise, I would certainly be rooting for the Huskies. I almost went to Northeastern or wanted to.
So he could be close to his beloved.
Its campus is like 10 minutes from Fenway for anybody who doesn't know. So when I say I almost went there, I was interested in going there. I'm not sure if I was ever that close, but I digress.
I think every campus in that city is 10 minutes from Fenway.
Well, BU's right across the bridge.
BU's across the bridge. BC's right up the road there, north of Brookline.
Commonwealth Ave.
Yeah.
Com Ave. But
it can take you, if you walk from BC to Fenway Park, it'd probably take you 20, maybe 25 minutes.
From BC to
Fenway Park. If you drive from BC to Fenway Park might take you an hour.
Yeah, well, a lot of people, just to be clear, though, a lot of Bostonians or people in Boston, they don't consider BC as part of Boston. Like Chestnut Hill's not part of Boston. It's really not. You go
whatever
going up Com Ave, to Chestnut Hill, it's not considered part of Boston in the same way that BU is, Harvard is, and Northeastern is, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the Bean Pot. It's a pretty big deal.
Oh yeah.
And so, but that's a lot of people kind of give BC a lot of crap for that because they're the one school in the Bean Pot that's not really a well, not the one school, but they're of those. Yeah, you get
doesn't hold up their end of the pot.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go, who has the most to gain on Wednesday pro day at Ohio State? As former Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin says, now that's why I go to Columbus to get like a Jack Sawyer or whatever, a Cameron Hayward. I guess Will Howard, but somebody else is going to coach him now.
That's a wonderful question. You kind of alluded to it in the intro, though, because I think it has to be Caden McDonald, because I think everybody else's draft status is kind of solidified. Like they're going to go,
But is it, man? Aren't there, when you hear this creeping question about Caleb Downs, about the degenerating, whatever it's called, ACL, what does that even mean? I'm not even sure.
I was talking to somebody at our Roosters get together with the coaching staff that we had, wonderful event, and I was talking to somebody who I can't name about that situation, that question, and I couldn't have gotten a quicker laugh / shrug off of that stuff is just wild, and he had no reason to do Caleb Downs bidding to me and a Roosters on an off the record conversation.
Dude, it is crazy around the draft.
Yeah,
the crap that like with Justin Fields right on down the line, unbelievable stuff that gets started.
I tell you what, at least whoever started this had the common courtesy to do something like with a physical ailment as opposed to like the character concern saying, because Caleb Downs can probably in short order say like, I don't here are all my medical records. I don't have any degenerative knee issues.
Yeah.
Whereas the character concern stuff, like, the player can't really prove that he's not really, that's just something that happens every time.
Like in Draft Day, the movie.
So that's the stuff that really pisses me off, is the character concern stuff, because that's just so unfair.
I don't even know where would that even come from?
I don't know.
The guy was recognized as a leader from the first day he stepped on campus.
Well, they're not saying that about Caleb.
I know, but I'm just saying for a Caleb Downs, because all this stuff gets started in all kinds of ways, and it's so obvious anymore of sometimes when you get started of you're just hoping that guy falls to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so I'm going to start this because I'm an NFL guy.
It's the jockeying for, anyways, I think, I do think it is Caden McDonald, because I think everybody else, even with Caleb and his knee issue things that have come to life, I guess, but they're not like anybody's really buying into it. I think everybody else is pretty much set where they're going to go. Caden McDonald has a chance to.
I think Caden McDonald has a chance to be in the first round sure, because guys like him are rare.
Yeah.
I've said that many times. They're more rare than a big-time quarterback. Get him if you can. If you can keep him healthy, he's there for 10 years, anchoring your defense from where it matters the most, right in the middle of the field. Everything emanates from the middle. Big Bang Theory, by the way.
I watched the Browns draft Mason Graham, and I was fine with the pick. And I think Mason Graham has a very good future in front of him. But like, I watched Mason Graham, and
they're not really the same guy, though.
No. But I'm just, I guess if you're production wise, I don't think it's that crazy. He's maybe not the same guy.
I'm just talking about when a guy can two gap you, when a guy can also demand a double team, at least at the beginning of a play. It changes the way the defense has to play you, because he showed a propensity when given any kind of like option, any kind of chance to get into the backfield. And so much of the pro game which makes sense, starts from the launching pad, which is the backfield, the pocket, et cetera. And even though you're not getting sacks necessarily, if you can push the pocket, that's a big deal. And I think this guy is, because we haven't even seen him at his best yet. I'm talking about Caden McDonald.
Yeah, no.
So what I'm saying here is I like where his upside. Who's the biggest of those 5 guys that have been talked about getting drafted from Ohio State in the first round, including him? Who's the biggest gamble?
The biggest
of playing the way you think he can play. Obviously, that's kind of a lead in. We've seen Arvell Reese at his best.
Yeah, so I was going to say
for one season.
Yeah, but not even at his best for all that season either, though.
Right. So I guess I gave my answer away. Yeah, that's my answer. I like him a lot.
I do too. I think he's unrefined.
I keep saying though, is he a guy that's never going to leave the field, or is he going to be, in your mind, a specialty guy. But when you can line a guy up that can play a little bit of linebacker, a little bit of defensive end, and rush the passer, you got a guy.
Yeah.
He's not going to be the same guy we saw last year. Some of the glimpses we saw of him last year.
Exactly.
But the pros, I think, see him as that guy that you don't know where he's going next, what he's doing next, as opposed to Lawrence Taylor. You know what I mean? Type guy.
Agreed. And your ability to move around and for a coaching staff to move him around, obviously, is
and get a mismatch.
Exactly. And Arbell's certainly that guy. So, like, I guess by default, I would say I would pick Arbell on that, just because we only saw him for 1 year, and frankly, not, at times, maybe especially towards the end of the year, he probably wasn't at his best, for whatever reason that that happened.
He still had some moments, though.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, I say this by default because I think the world of Arbell Reese, and I think somebody's going to hit a home run with him because of his versatility and his athleticism.
How much do you think he'll work on Wednesday? What do you think he'll do?
I don't know. See, I can't tell you. I have any idea who
me neither.
Is even,
because he took part in the combine for the most part.
I just know that I'm probably as excited as I've ever been to show up for a pro day at Ohio State this year, because typically, obviously, when a quarterback is working out, they draw the headlines because that's it's a quarterback position, it's the glamour position, it's the most important position in all of sports. But without a quarterback working out this year, like the depth of like elite talent that Ohio State's working out at pro day on Wednesday is as good as it's ever been. Maybe will ever be, to be honest.
I just love, even with there'll be friends and family and agents there.
Oh yeah.
For the players, but it's a horde of NFL executives, head coaches, assistant coaches, and scouts.
Yeah.
And when you heard that group go, it's worth the price of admission.
Sure. Yeah.
Like with CJ Stroud, the last pass he threw in his combine should have put him well above the kid from Alabama on the draft list. But Carolina knows better.
Sure. I'm not so sure, given the results right now. I'm not sure who won that.
Well,
who made the better decision. There was the jury's still out there.
Yeah. Well, maybe. CJ got banged up.
I'm saying on both accounts, though, and also their offensive line was terrible. I'm still a believer in CJ.
I mean, you saw the kid from Carolina. What's his name again?
Bryce Young.
Yeah. They found him out at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is. But my point is, that's why you go to those things, is who's going to pop out.
Yeah.
But, man, I just remember Brian Shazier running a 40, and really good 40, but then pulling a hammy.
Oh, really?
Slightly pulling a hammy on it. And I said, man, that looked pretty good. It looked like you popped a tire. He goes, yeah, I popped a tire, but I got my time in, whatever time. And so there are all kinds of things that can happen there.
Somebody fell last year, remember? Somebody got hurt. Who was
I can't remember.
He was running doing the shuttle.
But anyways, I'm drawing a blank now too. Yeah. But that's what's cool about that is it's a mini combine.
Yeah.
It was what it is.
Yeah.
And at Ohio State, boy, you just think about it, just another gangbuster draft.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about what they're replacing, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It's kind of like, when you look at it, Caden McDonald, Sonny Styles, and Arvell Reese, and Caleb Downs. Yeah. That's like a baseball, the middle of their defense, meaning starting pitcher, shortstop, second baseman, and center fielder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right up the middle. Yeah,
that's a lot to replace. Mm-hmm. I think Ohio State. Last thing, because I'm trying to hurry up because I'm hungry. Who's the guy that just from the scuttlebutt buzz first 2 days of practice? Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we get to watch practice. We get to watch 5 periods when they're stretching, doing some drills.
We get an hour.
Somebody captioned that the other day on Twitter, called it best. It's like, oh yeah, I'm really excited because this guy looked really good running a skeleton drill where they don't even finish.
Right.
I'm really excited about that. And it does go to that extreme, meaning they're not doing football when we're watching them. They're getting ready to do football.
They're working on lining up. Literally, they're working on how to line up correctly.
But by the way, impressed me the organization and the way they were snapping off reps. Like Ryan Day is right. They've got 2 former NFL head coaches as their coordinators now. And I think it's gotten better and better from that aspect of organization of practice over the years. But now it's second level, or next level. Sure. It's crazy. But who is one player maybe that has already impressed you in some way or needs to impress you? Give me that one.
That needs to impress you. That needs to.
And we'll go.
A player that needs to impress me.
Silence, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
yeah. Radio silence
Drum
is
roll.
never good. You
Drum
caught me
roll,
off guard
please.
on this one.
Drum roll,
I
please.
guess
It can be anybody, man.
Yeah,
I'll ask you the same question in 2 weeks.
I don't want to take the easy road, or the easy way out. But I am really excited about Legend Bay just because of conversation going back to that Roosters event that we had. A conversation I had with a certain somebody in the room that day about Legend Bay for 10, 15 minutes. The things that I was told.
Talking about the film guy.
Yeah. The things I was told.
Video guy
had me very excited about Legend Bay. Like now, like what Legend Bay can be this season for Ohio State's offense. So
isn't it funny how that starts and then that becomes the thing, because that has become the thing among guys that cover Ohio State.
Yeah.
And we really, except for running a few pass routes and some things, we haven't seen Legend Bay do anything on this level.
Legend Bay, there was some hype there, before Legend Bay stepped on the field for a practice. But I promise you, I'm not coming from just a place of like just that raw hype. I'm coming from like what I was told from people who would have no reason, A, wouldn't lie, have no reason to lie, and B, like that, like generally excited about what he is right now as an athlete. Now he still has to prove that he can be on the field, be trusted on the field, hold on the ball, all those things. But so like that's an easy one for me. I guess
his nickname's already Legendary Legend Bay.
Legendary Legend.
Or maybe it could be Legendary Bay.
Yeah, right. So I guess that would be the obvious one for me. I'm very intrigued by Earl Little Jr. Just the way he looks. I think he's already a solid player, but I think he has a chance to be a really, really nice pickup for Ohio State in the portal.
In what realm, though?
Oh, he's just his physicality and his versatility, I think, as well. I think they could do a couple different things with him if they want to line him up truly, in a traditional safety role. Or
a Caleb Downs, more of a Caleb Downs.
Or utilize him in the nickel.
He's not Caleb Downs, but Caleb Downs is gone, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. I don't compare anybody to that guy because that guy's one of one. But I think Earl Little, his versatility could be a really good asset.
I agree.
For Ohio State. We saw Jalen McClain lining up a little bit in the nickel in those two practices as well. So maybe they like Jalen in that role. I don't know, but I think having a guy like Earl Little certainly lets you move it around.
A guy that intrigued me real quick, and then we'll go. Is the McEwen kid, the transfer from UT San Antonio? He's little, just like but man,
he can fly.
Is he quick?
Yeah, he can fly
and fast. Yep. And they haven't. Who was I talking with the other day about that? I like to give people credit, but they haven't really had that guy.
No, not at all.
And that's why Legend Bay is very interesting because Legend Bay is maybe a bigger version of McEwen.
Yeah.
Except you figure Legends, McEwen's the guy that can sneak in there and do something, against a slot defender.
Sure.
And go whereas Legend Bay, by the time he gets to the ball field, it's going to be, like I said, his nickname will not be Legend, it'll be Legendary because but McEwen is one of those kind of guys, man. If they can figure out a way to trust him to be on the field, because he's already played.
Yeah.
And I think he's a guy to watch. And we know Legend Bay's going to be good because they went out of their way to get Legend Bay.
I tell you what, so again,
that was a rhyme by Tim May.
Referencing, the conversation I had with, somebody that would certainly know, but also there are a couple indicators that I get that, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I don't think I am. The fact that he got number 2 already is not a coincidence. Like you don't just get number 2 at Ohio State. That might be the most prestigious number at Ohio State.
Who knows? That might have been the final thing that took it. Took it to get him.
Maybe so. But you don't just get that number at Ohio State as a true freshman unless they think that you're a guy that's going to play very soon. And then also just the way that Carlos Lachlan was just all over it, just riding him, through his first 2 days of practice. And he coaches like that all the time. So, maybe I am reading into that part a little bit, but I got the sense that like he understands that Legend Bay is physically ready to be a serious weapon for Ohio State this year, but he's got to get to the point where he can be trusted to do so. And I feel like that's, why.
And here's the thing. When Carlos Lachlan is doing that, Carlos is far from stupid.
Right.
He's the opposite.
Yeah.
He knows we're all sitting there listening and hearing that.
Yeah.
And so he knows it's humbling Legend Bay, but it's also the tip off that, like you just said, it's important for him to bring him along because he sees what can be.
Right. Especially right now in this, in this spring when Bo Jackson and Isaiah West both banged up.
Right.
So, that
you can focus on him.
Yeah. He's, he needs to step up. One of the guys that was sitting there thinking about this that I was trying to think, but maybe not off the wall kind of guy, but because I know I think Zion Grady looks fantastic.
Yes.
I think Zion Grady needs to be fantastic for Ohio State. I think the Ohio State's defensive line, for everything that it's lost, is going to be fine this year. But I think a big component of that is Zion Grady taking a step forward. Physically, he has taken that step forward. He looks great.
Yeah.
And assuming that the rest of it comes along with it, and I have every reason to believe it will. I think Zion Grady's ready to take off this year as well.
My question for him, if we ever get to interview him, is what was the boll weevil? See what he says, because he's from Enterprise, Alabama. They actually have a monument there for the eradication or the ability to gain control, which was started in Enterprise by methods to rid the boll weevil from, because it was basically starting to decimate cotton crops in the South way back when. See, I grew up in Alabama. That was part of the Alabama history book. Sure. And just I want to ask him about the boll weevil. He's got to know about it, and then go from there. Yeah, but it is funny, the makeup of this team, where they're from. Mm-hmm. And I always marvel at that.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about Ohio State team is when you truly recruit, coast to coast, you get guys from everywhere. And so there's always... if you were Julian Sayin and you're asked, I would think he'd already know by now, to throw at Pro Day on Wednesday. Will he do it? Would he do it? Would you do it? I think it's a great opportunity to cement who might be the first pick in the draft next year. Yeah, I think without question he would do it and should do it, because not to say that he's not anything more than that, but I think he would put on a show in a Pro Day scenario because of how that beautiful release and how accurate he is. I think he would wow scouts. So I think he would be silly to not take advantage of that opportunity.
Will Jeremiah do it, you think?
That's a great question. When we were talking about this Pro Day and like these 5 guys and everything, and I was sitting here thinking to myself, the funny thing is they won't even be the most popular guys on the field. Like, all those scouts, they're there to scout these guys. Yeah. But they're going to make sure they stop in and talk to Jeremiah as well.
Yeah. I remember asking Jeremiah after last year. I mean, he had a good little short video clip about it. He didn't, in essence, he was pretty humble about it, and he didn't want to distract from the other guys. Yeah. It's just, wow. I mean, if he was to step out there, I don't know if that would be doing Carnell a favor or
I think it would hurt. I think it would be doing a disservice to Carnell. And B, I genuinely think that he probably would turn that down because he doesn't need to. He's that good. He's that sure of a pick that he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to show anything to those guys. And I think also, again, I think that would be doing disservice to Carnell. So I don't think he would.
You haven't been on here since we've got to see them work out the first 2 practices and then went on spring break, which I think has always been a good idea to get them understanding what's expected when they get back. Yeah, very true. Don't eat too much on the all-inclusives. Right.
So when you get back,
all-inclusive buffets. Chris Henry Jr. did not disappoint in the way he looks as not a clone, different in his own way. But my gosh, physically, he looks like he's ready for college football. Agreed.
Without a doubt. And I want to caution everybody, though, because people can't put Chris Henry Jr. in the Jeremiah Smith class, because when Jeremiah Smith showed up as a true freshman for spring practice and we walked out there, the hype was already at a level I don't think I've ever experienced for a true freshman at Ohio State. But whatever the hype was for Jeremiah Smith going into that first day when we walked into the Woody and saw him for the first time, and we all quickly realized that it's still not enough. Like, he's better than what we thought he was. Like, even though we've heard so much about him already, however good people thought he was going to be, he's already better than that.
Yes.
So people can't put Chris Henry Jr. into that because he is truly a one-of-one. Jeremiah is truly a one-of-one. But with that being said, Chris Henry Jr. looks the part of what we think he's going to be in terms of that size and that frame. And also, he looked quicker, like in the open field as well. I think some people maybe question if he was the kind of athlete, if his athleticism matched the frame and, and things like that. And that still remains to be seen. But, watching him catch balls on air, and just running, he looks like he's more explosive in the open field than maybe I thought he was. So he certainly looks like the total package.
He looks like the guy that can get. And what I like is I like to judge wide receivers on this. They're different speeds. Yeah. Heck, they don't even know how fast Carnell Tate is, the NFL scouts. Exactly. The debate.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But can they separate at the moment? Well, at the moment they need to separate.
Exactly.
Carnell Tate was excellent at that. Jeremiah Smith is excellent at that. One of the things both of them do well, which any young receiver wanting to go to college and then go to the NFL needs to make part of his repertoire now, not later when somebody brings it up to him, is on a stop curl, going back attacking the ball when it's thrown.
Right.
For example, those two guys do it. It looks like Chris Henry Jr. does that, meaning you don't just turn around and expect the ball to get there. You go toward the ball, and with a force, you turn upfield, et cetera. I think some of that can be coached, but I think some of it's innate.
Agreed. And well, that's a good point too. In terms of like talking about the separations, that's a very vague word, separation. Like you can create separation in a few different ways. Obviously, having straight line speed and think that
Bingo.
works well. But being a technician, running good routes, that helps gain separation as well.
Yeah.
And that's one of the questions. Another thing I said, I've been telling people you can't put Chris Henry Jr. in the Jeremiah Smith class right now. But also, like, it's going to be interesting to see, what kind of job Cortez Hankton does is getting this guy ready to play. Because for all the things that made Brian Hartline great, as the receivers coach at Ohio State, it was obviously just bringing the elite talent to Ohio State, but it was also getting elite talent ready to play right away.
Yeah. But those little things, man, Brian Hartline.
But that's why they were ready to play right away.
He let nobody. He gave no slack to anybody. Maybe when we were recruiting him, cajole a little bit. But his deal from the moment he started, as he called it, building a relationship with you, not recruiting.
Yeah.
I go, well, you're not. You're recruiting Jeremiah Smith, not Jimbo Smith.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right. Exactly. And that those little things are, part of why he was so good
and boy, the greatest deal is when you get a Jeremiah Smith who wants to be better than he is.
Well, that's part of Marvin Harrison Jr. is the same way, right?
Bingo.
So I'm not going to say names.
Those guys.
I'm not going to say names on the other side, but there are other talented guys there who weren't ready to see the field from day one.
Right.
And that just goes to show you that as good as Brian Hartline was at his job, it takes both. It takes his ability to coach you and also your willingness to be great. And some guys figured it out, further down the line. But yeah, when you get a Brian Hartline kind of guy with the work ethic of a Marvin Harrison Jr. or a Jeremiah Smith, not just those guys.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah, JSN, Garrett Wilson. So you just got on the
Chris Olave.
Yeah, Chris Olave. You could go down the line with those guys. I think we have every reason to believe Chris Henry Jr. is that guy as well.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know to what extent, but I think he'll have to play this year. I think he's going to have a role on this team.
Oh, yeah.
In
I think he should, though. I mean, I think if he's good enough, there should be no hesitation.
Oh, certainly if he's good enough, he will. Yeah. I think he needs to make sure that he is good enough because I think that they need that. So.
Yeah. But anyway, Cal Parker, I like him too, the kid from LSU.
Yeah, I know we're rambling here, but I'm glad you said that because you talked about McCune. Both of those transfer receivers looked really good.
Yes.
In the windows we have. Ryan Day even went out of his way to say that they're both pros already.
Yes.
In the day one of practice, he recognized right away that those are pros and the way they approached practice and were ready to practice, which says a lot about both of those guys.
And embracing this challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're a receiver out there transferring to Ohio State in the portal,
exactly.
There is no given
no.
at all.
And it certainly helps Kyle Parker that he obviously being with Cortez.
Oh, yeah.
So he understands how Cortez is going to run a practice, and how, that coaching style. So that helped Kyle Parker as well. But both those guys impressive for Ohio State early on.
All right. Come back and join me again. I know you will, right?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
And, get me a tea time.
Anytime. I'm going to keep on doing that as well.
Meanwhile, you and I are going to go have lunch. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Tim May Show, usually featuring Clay All, but today featuring the incomparable Dillon Davis from the Delaware Gazette. You can catch him online at, what is it? Is it DelawareGazette.com?
Yeah,
what is
it? DELGazette.com.
Yeah, DellGazette.com.
And then on Twitter.
Everybody abbreviates everything now because it sounds cooler. Yeah. That's like the Sluggo route, slant and go.
Yeah, the Sluggo.
Why can't you say slant and go?
The Sluggo sounds way much more fun. It's way more fun.
Yeah.
Way more fun to say.
I was having my grandson, 7-year-old grandson, Owen, running Sluggos yesterday in our backyard.
Yep.
And I was occasionally hitting him right on, but he could catch the ball. But that's another podcast for another day, ladies and gentlemen. For Dillon Davis, I'm Tim May. Until next time, we'll see you then. Shh. By the way, Clay has left the room. I wanted to let you folks in on a real bargain out there in the world of simulator golf. The Back Nine Golf, which is located at 2820 Fishinger Road in Upper Arlington, has a hell of a holiday box available to you right now. The value is nearly $300, but your price is $150 if you jump online. That's almost 50% off if you jump online at Columbus at theback9golf.com. That's their email address. Their website is theback9golf.com/Columbus-upper-Arlington-OH/ That's a long address, but just write it down a couple times watching it. And you can also call them at 614-362-7888. Parentheses, PUTT. But the bottom line is one of the new ultra modern simulators that you can find in the greater Columbus area. And it's really right there in the middle of Upper Arlington. I know Tito Thidoff and I hopped in there the other day. I think it was 16 degrees outside. There was snow and ice everywhere. And we played Pebble Beach. And we did it in less than an hour. So it's one of the great bargains going out there. And with this holiday box, you get 1 month of Birdie membership. You get Back Nine branded golf balls. You get cozy Back Nine beanie, and you get premium Back Nine towel. So that's a hell of a deal because basically it's unlimited golf. It's 24/7. You get a code to get you in the door, and then you can go from there. And it's definitely fun. It's the premises are pristine. I know we had a great time. We even played closest to the hole, a few shots on number 7, famed number 7 short par 3 at Pebble Beach the other day, and had a great time doing it. So if you're looking for that last minute gift for a golfer that you love, or yourself that you love, that you're a golfer, nothing wrong with giving yourself a gift at this time of the year. That's the Back Nine Golf holiday box, and it's only a limited time. And as you can imagine, there are only a few available. Quantities are tight. So check in at theback9golf.com.